Hey Math 1B in Geometry, I'm here again with another video. It's 1.12, it's the last section of Chapter 1. It's part 2 of graphing linear systems of inequalities. And if you recall back to this linear systems, we had a section where you guys looked at the special cases. And there were only 2 special cases for graphing 2 linear equations. For linear inequalities, it gets a little more complicated. So I already graphed the y equals mx plus b's on all 4 of these scenarios because they're the same every single time. And I just wanted us to compare the shared shaded regions, like what the solutions should really look like. So from the other day, just to make sure we're all on the same page, this is what it means to graph a solution to a system of inequalities. Let's say you start out with one line that looks like this. If it was greater than or equal to, you'd keep it bold and you would shade above like that. If you had another line that, say, looks like this, and you were given that it was a less than situation, it's a dashed line, and you would shade below that line, which would look like this. Your solution would be the place that the magenta, I think that's the color, and yellow both share. It's this spot right here. So, that's what you guys talked about yesterday. I'm kind of banking on the fact that you're still making pretty good sense of it. Let's talk today's stuff. So when you see y is less than or equal to 3 minus 2x, that's the same as having a starting point of 3 and going down 2, right 1. All right? So when we look at this, we're thinking, okay, I'm shading below this line. Everything below this line, it's almost like less than that line too. It's coming out here. Okay? So if I were to use the actual grid shading, we'll just make the top one this color every time. It's going to be everything out here is this pinkish magenta color that we can see through. Everything below this line. Now on the opposite end, the line below it that has a starting point at -1 is greater than. So the greater than means we're going to shade above this line here. So here's this line. We're shading above it. The solution is the space that they both occupy. Well, it's pretty clear, right? Because the yellow and the magenta create a totally different color. It should be this space right here. Just the sliver in between. Which is interesting. Because normally when you had parallel lines, it'd be, hey, they don't intersect anywhere, so it's always no solution. There's a solution. It's the dark shaded middle between those 2 parallel lines. So there's our first case. All right. Let's do this again. So that line is opposite of what it was before. It was less than or equal to, now it's greater than or equal to, which means we shade everything on this line above. So shade above. This one is now opposite what it was. Instead of going above, it's going to shade below. So this line is now shade below. So what's the shared space between the magenta and the yellow? There is no shared space. They don't intersect. There's no shared shaded region. So they share no space, no shaded region. They share no shade. That's no solution. And I guess I didn't say what the solution for this one was, but it would be the, I guess I would say, well, it's this shaded region right here. Interesting. Let's move on to the next one. They're both less than or equal to. So for this one, it's going to start here, and everything below it will be shaded. Everything below. So is everything below this one. Oh, okay. This is interesting. So the shared space is pretty much everything below or equal to y equals 2x, negative 2x minus 1. So the shared shaded space is going to be this. But I don't know if you guys can see this. All I did was graph y is less than or equal to negative 2x minus 1. So when I ask for the solution below, I can just say y is less than or equal to negative 2x minus 1. That single inequality is the shared space. Yeah. So if you don't quite get that so far, but you understand the shading, you're doing all right, okay? All right, here's the last one. This one will be everything up here. Greater than or equal to means above. Greater than or equal to here means everything above. Oh no, we can do it. Okay. Disaster averted. Okay, so basically the magenta region is the solution. It's the place where they share. Well, it's not magenta anymore, but... So I would just say, y... Hold on. No! Don't delete them. y is greater than or equal to 3 minus 2x. Just the top part. That right there is the shaded region. All right, so we would say this is my solution. All right. Let's move on to the next group, shall we? Adios. All right, this is very different. As you can see, it's kind of weird. I mean, I have the same line written a bunch of times. So here's how we're going to talk about this. Here's magenta. It starts at 1 and goes up 3, right 1. You know what? Hold on. We're not doing that. I'll graph the line first. So starts at 1, goes up 1, 2, 3, right 1, up 1, 2, 3, right 1, down 1, 2, 3, left 1, down 1, 2, 3, left 1. So what we're trying to determine here is if they're both greater than or equal to, what does that even mean? Well, here's my first one. Less than or equal to that line means I would shade everything below that line, including the line. So this is below the line. This is everything above the line. So that's above the line, so is this. So the question is, what do they share? They share the line because they're both equal to. So technically this line should be that mixture color between yellow and magenta. But we know what that means. It means all the points on that line are solutions. They overlap on a line. So it's all the points on y equals 3x plus 1. So technically, here's what you can do. You can just say, it's just y equals 3x plus 1. That's the solution between those two. Yeah, so you just put y equals 3x plus 1. All right, on the next one, it also starts at 1, goes up 3, right 1. And it's a dashed line for the top and a dashed line for the bottom. Magenta would be below. That's what we had before. Yellow would be above. And remember, dashed mean they actually don't share it. It's like an empty boundary. Wow, okay, so that's like two countries that have this little sliver between them that nobody owns. So you'd say, okay, that country shares nothing with its border country. There's no solution. They share nothing. Interesting. All right, this last one. Oh, this is really hard for me to help you guys visualize by just drawing. So it's kind of like, I don't know, one of the lines is bold, but and it goes shade below. So think of this black line as a magenta colored line. But then the yellow does the same thing again, but it doesn't include the line. So magenta owns the line. Yellow doesn't. They still share nothing. All right. We're pushing 16 minutes on this video, so I'm going to stop it here. But I'm going to make another video to go over the second part of these notes. So stay tuned.